Who would have ever thought that a store that saw $1 billion in revenue and has been in existence for 118 years would face such a depressing decline? Well, that's the story of the JCPenney department store. This was once a retail giant that had about 850 department stores spread around the United States. But today, it is struggling to compete with Target and Walmart while facing bankruptcy. However, it took a lot for this department store to get to this point. We're about to explore the business decisions that led to a decline in sales and profits, and those major mistakes that kept them from staying on top of the retail game. Here is a story of the depressing decline of the JCPenney department store. The glory days of JCPenney. With its headquarters currently in Texas, JCPenney currently has less than 700 locations nationwide, where their stores are operating. But way before this terrible decline, this department store was something of a force in the retail industry. It came to life in April of 1902 thanks to James Cash Penney, who the store is obviously named after, and William Henry McManus, who decided that this would be an amazing idea. And it was. At the time, department stores weren't really a thing, and that worked in their favor. By 1912, the number of JCPenney department stores had increased to 34 within the Rocky Mountain states, and then a year later, they began the process of moving headquarters to New York City. This made spending and transportation of goods much easier, and was also a key factor in increasing their stores to 175 across 22 states by 1917. There was no slowing down for JCPenney as it continued to grow really fast. 1924 saw the opening of store number 500 in Missouri, and then just 4 years later, they were commissioning store number 1000. Business was booming, and the lines never seemed to slow down as people trooped in for everything and anything that the store offered. JCPenney brought in almost $200 million in revenue in 1940, with 1,600 stores in 1941. Then they dived into the mail order catalog business in 1963, and everyone thought that they were here to stay. With expansion still taking place in full force, JCPenney changed into full-line department stores where you could shop for auto parts, garden merchandise, sporting goods, appliances, clothing, and even visit the auto centers, beauty salon, and restaurants around the store. It was a world of its own, and the cash counters constantly rang out loud. But 1973 was the last year that JCPenney would record growth in stores as they peaked at 2053. Over the next few years, up until 2009, JCPenney made numerous changes to their style, including buying some companies, launching a very successful e-commerce site, and selling a direct market insurance unit for $1.3 billion. By this time, they were recording a whopping $1 billion in revenue, and this marked the end of the glory days of the JCPenney department store. The beginning of the end. JCPenney has not been a profitable company since 2007, and the journey to the bottom has been a really painful one. The major reason for things getting ugly around the late 2000s was the economic downturn that had a massive negative effect on several stores. Since these stores, especially JCPenney, were directed toward middle-class families, it was no surprise that they lost several thousands of dollars in revenue around that time. Still struggling to stay afloat with everything crashing around them, JCPenney experienced one of the biggest declines between 2011 and 2013. It was the year that Ron Johnson took over as CEO after being the pioneer of Apple retail outlets. He quickly went to work on coming up with different concepts for the JCPenney stores so that they could bring in more revenue and get back to its glory days. But things didn't quite work out that way. Instead of attracting more customers and keeping the old ones, these changes were so quick and drastic that it made a lot of people stop shopping with them. JCPenney no longer had their favorite brands. The store layout was different, and it was generally a pain shopping here since it looked like a completely different store. At that point, people decided that JCPenney had not given them a real reason to go back to the department store. Ron Johnson brought out the whole new concept without trying to test the customer's acceptance of this new layout first, or even putting a thought to what they actually want. Instead, he felt that the changes had to be made quickly, and with a drastic 25% decrease in sales, it's no wonder that a lot of people credit Ron Johnson with killing the company. He was fired, and Myron Ullman came back as CEO because he also held this position before Ron Johnson. He tried to reverse the changes that the fired CEO had made and worked towards making it more profitable, but sales just continued to fall to new lows. Again, JCPenney department store tried to solve its problems by hiring a new CEO, and this time it was Marvin Ellison, who remained until 2018. During his time in this position, Marvin brought the focus on home appliances in JCPenney department stores, but this only led to more store closings. They had the largest of more than 135 stores in 2017. While they tried to save money and regain customers, when Marvin left this position, Jill Saltu took over. And one of the first things she did was stop the sales of major appliances, like washing machines and refrigerators. She changed the store layout to focus only on clothing, but still the company had to file for bankruptcy in May of 2020, as it couldn't keep up with other department store chains like Walmart and Amazon. The COVID-19 pandemic did have a huge effect on this, where JCPenney got it all wrong. By the time the coronavirus pandemic started causing major store shutdowns in March of 2020, JCPenney couldn't be saved from the inevitable. Over the years, they have had many leaders who they thought could pull the department store from the bottom and get it back to bringing in huge revenue. But JCPenney had never been profitable again. They accepted the writing on the wall and filed for bankruptcy. But let's look at some of the mistakes that got JCPenney department store to this point. First was the expansion, which had them focusing more on physical stores and outdated malls. Although some of them are located in good areas, they were too fast in taking away the familiar features that got people falling in love with JCPenney in the first place. Then again, looking at their physical stores gives you that sense that you've been transported back in time to the 80s. The renovations have not been enough to give it a truly modern feel that will appeal to shoppers of our time. Also, you won't be that convinced to spend on the selection of clothing available at JCPenney department store because it doesn't fit the modern criteria of style that customers are looking for. So when it comes to looking upscale, JCPenney doesn't score high. Another reason why the department store is currently in debt is that they haven't been able to keep up with current times where online shopping is a major trend. Retailers like Amazon, Target, and Walmart are trying to keep up by revolutionizing their approach towards shopping and inputting current trends. But JCPenney department store hasn't been able to keep up. A quick look at the store will show you that they've been kind of stuck at their old selves without any significant changes or adding selections that would attract their current target market. Compared to JCPenney, they would rather shop at other options which have more variety of products at lower prices and even better quality. The icing on the cake is having it delivered to their doorsteps without worries. The truth is, you would rather buy clothing from a better brand at other stores than visiting a JCPenney department store in your city. Now that the company has filed for bankruptcy protection, thousands of workers have lost their jobs while Brookfield Asset Management and Simon Property Group bought out what was left of JCPenney. With share prices so low at the moment, we can only watch and see how things will play out once the threat of the pandemic is over. Now you know about the depressing decline of the JCPenney department store. And that's a wrap. Do you think this department store has any chance of rising to the top of its industry again? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? Well, we're always posting amazing content like this, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching.